actually mean when we say that someone is feeling triggered or has been triggered? What has been triggered? Emotions, anxiety, defense mechanisms, or even thoughts and memories from the past that are latent. They're in the person's subconscious awareness somewhere, have erupted into their conscious mind. So suddenly they're very aware of them. These old patterns have been activated. These thoughts or memories have been activated, and they're now aware of them. And sometimes they can lose the capacity to reality test, right? They can lose the capacity in that moment to tell the difference between a thought and a memory and reality, what's actually happening here and now. That's where people can experience flashbacks, but people can also experience intrusive thoughts where they aren't confusing then with now in such a visceral, real, totally convinced sense. They're not flashing back and thinking they are back there. They're just kind of, there's like an overlay over what they're experiencing currently from the past, right? So, let's say I used to get physically beaten in my last relationship, and now in my current relationship, the person might be very lovely, but they get angry at me, and suddenly I'm cowering, expecting attack. Now, I could be flashing back where I kind of think I'm back in that situation, or I could be overlaying my previous partner's, angry, aggressive mannerisms over the top of this other person, and it was triggered by a stimulus. The stimulus being around someone who's angry at me, right? Now, let's take a look at a really amazing example, some case studies that demonstrates just how latent, how inbuilt the brain's ability to create triggers is, right? And why. So there were a number of cases where people had car accidents, they were in car accidents, and then they developed a panic response when they smelled cake. Seems nonsensical, right? Seems ridiculous. There were thoughts, could this be something neurological, right? Brain damage from the car crash. After careful investigation, in all cases, someone had been baking a cake in a house right outside where the car accident happened. So the person has smelled that. They've had that sensory input during a time of extreme danger, stress, fear, anxiety, right? Now, the unconscious mind, the nervous system, the brain, whatever you want to call it, has said, okay, I never want to be this unsafe again. I need to learn very quickly and on an automatic instinctual level to be on my toes, be totally ready, be in fight or flight or freeze or fawn mode, basically to panic and look out for danger anytime I encounter any of these sensory inputs again, right? So the person might develop a fear of cars and a fear of the sound of brakes screeching and also a fear of cake, just in case that sensory input could be a clue that another car crash is coming, right? So we can understand from that the brain has a survival mechanism designed to make us susceptible to being triggered by things. So I'll talk about how to try and resolve triggers. Like if you're finding that you're constantly getting triggered by things, how do you resolve that? In a nutshell, you've got to go back and deal with the feelings that arise in the triggering situation from the past. If you can fully feel all the feelings and have a lot of insights about, what was actually going on and really face reality externally, this is what actually happened, and internally, this is how I feel about it, then you'll no longer be triggered in the current, right? You won't be bringing the past into the current if you're fully resolved and dealt with the past.